Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We've talked a lot about the different attachments and some of their specific raw data mine stats here in Warzone 2. Previously, we talked about some of the muzzles, specifically looking at the suppressors. Some of them have hidden stats, hidden pros, hidden cons, because the game's just so inaccurate, and it's really a bummer that we wouldn't have the actual stats of what certain things are doing if it weren't for data mine sites like sim.gg. We've also looked at certain underbarrels, which is better in terms of stabilization, general recoil control, so on and so forth. Today, I wanted to talk even more about the broad overview of recoil control here in Warzone 2, and technically MW2 as well, since the stats are basically the same for all of those, and something else you can sort of add to your setup or possibly replace in your setup to make it even more optimized and even more efficient. So I got a couple of guns I want to give a look at here between the 7.62, the TAC 56, and the M4, right? So some stats here, some attachments are going to be universal between all guns, right? So if we were to look at certain muzzles here, we can see the Puller Fire S, and I'll actually go ahead and scroll down so you guys can see some of the pros there behind the face cam, right? If you were to look at the Puller Fire S, it's going to give you that better velocity, that better damage range, right? Things like the Talon, better velocity, better control, better damage range. If you look at the TAC 56, we have very similar ones, right? Zulu is going to give you that better velocity, better damage range. Same deal with Harbinger or Echolist. So while they have different names, they're still doing universally the same stats, right? Same deal on the M4. If we were to go ahead and look at Harbinger, Echolist, they're doing the same things on different guns, right? Same deal with underbarrels. If we were to look at these, because these are especially universal, Ripper, for instance, is 4% increase to the overall control, 20 millisecond increase in the time to exit ADS, 40 for the ADS time. And on the TAC 56, it's going to do the same thing, 40 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, 4% increase across the board. So those are all going to be universal, and it'll stay the same between different guns. Now, barrels and whatnot won't do the same. Certain other things like stocks won't always do the same because they're specific to certain guns. However, you can see here that when we have a setup here, let's for instance put on the Talon 5, let's put on the Ripper underbarrel, for instance, because that's a pretty standard setup. And when we look at the actual stats down here, if we were to scroll all the way down to the bottom, we would see that on our Kastov 7.62, we would have a better velocity now because of some of the attachments, and we'd also have better recoil control here as well with a 0.93 because of the attachments we're using. I've also gone through and added them onto the TAC 56 and the M4, so all these are basically running the similar setups, right? But you'll notice that when we go ahead and we buff certain things, per usual, when we have better control here, we also end up hurting some other things though. As we saw here behind the face cam, all these have stats that hurt your strafe speed, that hurt your ADS speed and whatnot. What you may not know though is that's not always the best option for control. In fact, if we were to clear this and just look at the 7.62 in this example, yes, we know what the Puller Fire is doing in terms of hurting our ADS. We know what the Talon is doing there. We know what Gravedigger and everything else, Ripper and Clean Shot, are doing there. What if we look at our rear grips? Because another universal attachment that's going to be on every single gun is some kind of rear grip that helps with control. Usually everyone has something like True Tac that's going to help out with your ADS and your sprint to fire, but it's going to hurt your control. And in this case, you can see behind the face cam there, it's doing about a 6 or 7% increase to your overall gun kick, which is not good. However, Demo X2 is one of the common ones that you'll see. They're going to be named differently on certain guns as well. If I were to go over and add on the M4, right? So if we go in here, throw on the M4 and look at its rear grips, we'd have the SAC and ZX. And we can see here that these are actually offering control, 8% increase to the view kick, 7% increase to the gun kick, with no cons, which is particularly interesting because you're getting a little bit more out of something like you would with the Ripper, which is only a 4% increase and hurting your ADS speed and your strafe speed. Or if we were to look at some of the other ones that are solid, Merc forward grip, 9% increase, but pretty severe cons with your strafe speed, your movement speed, your ADS speed. Lock grip precision, same deal there. Even things like the Edge 47, which are relatively minimal in terms of cons, still hurting your ADS speed for only 4% increase in that recoil control. So really, if you wanted to optimize your setup the most here, you could actually end up dropping an underbarrel. If say that was your fifth and final attachment, you were trying to maximize your setup here, but you had to choose between an underbarrel and something else, the rear grips really truly are impressive. You can see the Demo X2, 8% to view kick vertically, 7% across the board for the rest of the view kick and all overall gun kick, and no cons. Also, real quick, just a reminder as we're going through everything today, if you guys are new here, every day I'm your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications to always stay up to date. And if you guys enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Also, real quick, want to give a shout out to my friends over at G Fuel. Currently, code Immortal gets you at least 20% off everything on the site, and on specific items, some of the brand new tubs, some of the item shop items that they're currently previewing, you'll actually get 30% off those instead of the basic 20. So if you want to take advantage of those increased savings, be sure to throw in code Immortal at checkout for that nice little discount. When you compare how this would differ, this first setup here, Cast 762, is just the Talon Suppressor and the Ripper underbarrel. Number 2 is the Talon Suppressor and the Edge 47 underbarrel. Number 3 here is the Talon Suppressor and our Demo X2 rear grip. And you can see our ADS time here is noticeably better, and we have actually better control stats. It's a 1% view kick, 90% in terms of total recoil, whereas these have 93% across the board. So you're getting a 3% better recoil stat here and a much better ADS stat. Now, that's not to say we couldn't go through and add on and stack these. That's certainly an option as well. If you were to have the 762, you could go through, add the Talon Suppressor again. We could add the Edge 47, and then we can also go through and add Demo X2. And if we go down and look at the fourth one now, our ADS speed here also going to be particularly slower compared to no underbarrel, but the control here now even better. You're looking at 86% overall and 96% for the view kick here, as opposed to 90% or 93%. So the main takeaway that I want to give you guys here is that if you're trying to focus on long range, which obviously this is what this is meant for, mid to long range on any given gun, it could be the RAL, the 762, M4, Hemlock, doesn't matter, right? Yes, you can get really good stats out of using a barrel, muzzle, underbarrel, optic, magazine, right? But say you want to really maximize efficiency here, you can get more control out of some of these rear grips with less cons, and that's something that is particularly important. So in terms of overall recoil control, we may have a certain best muzzle that gives you, plus 8%, plus 9%, whatever the exact number might be. It's just an example. There could be a best underbarrel here for 9%, 10%, whatever it may be. But all of those are going to have cons, in which case the rear grip stat right now, the rear grip category, is by far the most efficient you can look at and use in terms of recoil control with no added cons. So definitely something to take note of, and the tuning on the rear grips is also going to help out and enhance these stats even more, just like they would on underbarrels. So something to definitely take note of. Either you can start stacking these rear grips on top of your setups, maybe replacing a laser, maybe replacing a barrel in certain cases and adding on one of those, or testing out and seeing, should I drop the Ripper underbarrel and take that off and go ahead and throw on the Demo X2 rear grip and get more control and still have a snappier build in the long term with the end result there. So very interesting conversation. Again, this is not something you'd ever actually notice in game just by looking at the menu, because these kind of stats, these kind of details are not available there. Hopefully one day they are, and we can just see them from day one in the menu. Cold War's Gunsmith did something very similar to that, and it was super, super useful. For now, though, we do have to rely on sites like Sim or people like True Game Data, who go in and manually test or data mine these exact stat values so we can really min-max our setup here, get the maximum benefit with the minimum amount of cons here, and have the true best setups possible. So definitely something important to take note of. That being said, that is going to wrap things up for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with absolutely everything going on in the world of Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.